The Mayan civilization, which flourished in Mesoamerica from about 2000 BCE to 1500 CE, is renowned for its advanced knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and architecture. They built impressive structures such as pyramids, temples, and observatories, all of which were aligned with the movements of celestial bodies. The Mayans had a complex cosmology and believed in the existence of multiple dimensions, where beings from other worlds or realms could coexist with humans. They also believed that these beings could communicate with them and even influence their lives and society. Let's discover beyond. One of the most intriguing aspects of Mayan beliefs is their connection to extraterrestrial beings. The Mayans believed that their gods came from the stars and that these beings had a direct influence on their civilization. They depicted these beings in their artwork, such as the famous lid of the sarcophagus of Pakal the Great from the Temple of Inscriptions in Palenque, which shows a figure in a spaceship. Many scholars have debated the meaning of these depictions and whether they represent actual extraterrestrial beings or simply mythological figures. However, some researchers have pointed out that the Mayans' advanced knowledge of astronomy and their ability to predict astronomical events suggests that they had access to information beyond what was available on Earth. This has led some to suggest that the Mayans may have had contact with extraterrestrial beings who shared their knowledge with them. There are also legends and stories passed down through generations of indigenous peoples in Mesoamerica that speak of beings from other worlds. One such legend is that of the Chilambalam, which tells the story of a high priest who communicated with beings from other worlds and recorded their teachings in a series of texts. Some researchers have even suggested that the Mayan calendar, which is widely regarded as one of the most accurate and complex calendars in history, was not entirely of human origin. The calendar's cycles and calculations align with astronomical events that the Mayans could not have observed with the naked eye, leading some to believe that they had help from extraterrestrial beings. Mayans' impressive knowledge of astronomy. The Mayan civilization had an impressive knowledge of astronomy, and their understanding of celestial bodies was a key component of their complex cosmology and belief system. One of the most significant astronomical achievements of the Mayans was their development of a highly accurate calendar. The Mayan calendar was based on several interlocking cycles, including the Hab, which was a 365-day solar calendar, and the Solkin, a 260-day ritual calendar. The combination of these two calendars resulted in a larger 52-year cycle, known as the calendar round. The Mayans also had a long count calendar that tracked time over much longer periods, up to millions of years. The Mayans were able to accurately predict astronomical events such as eclipses, solstices, and equinoxes. They had a deep understanding of the movement of celestial bodies and were able to use this knowledge to create accurate astronomical observations and calculations. They built impressive observatories, such as the one at Chichen Itza, which was used to track the movement of the sun, moon, and stars. The Mayans also used their knowledge of astronomy to align their architecture and monuments with celestial events. For example, the pyramid at Chichen Itza is aligned with the equinoxes so that the sun casts a shadow that creates the image of a serpent descending the steps of the pyramid. Mayans' belief of multiple dimensions. The Mayan civilization had a complex belief system that included the idea of multiple dimensions or realms of existence. According to Mayan cosmology, there were 13 heavens or layers of existence, each with its own ruling deity, and 9 underworlds or levels of the underworld, which were ruled by the god of death. The Mayans believed that these different dimensions were interconnected and that humans could move between them through rituals and ceremonies. For example, during certain ceremonies, the Mayans would enter into an altered state of consciousness and journey to the otherworld to communicate with their ancestors and gods. The Mayans also believed that different beings, including gods and supernatural creatures, existed in these other dimensions. Some of these beings could communicate with humans, and the Mayans believed that they could provide guidance and assistance. The concept of multiple dimensions was an integral part of Mayan mythology and influenced many aspects of their culture. For example, their artwork often depicted scenes from different dimensions, and their architecture incorporated elements that were believed to connect different realms, such as tunnels or caves. The Mayan belief in multiple dimensions also reflected their understanding of the interconnectedness of all things in the universe. They believed that everything was connected and that the actions of individuals could have a profound impact on the world around them. Connection between architecture and astronomy. The Mayan civilization had a deep connection between their architecture and astronomy. the Mayans had an advanced understanding of astronomy and believed that the movements of the celestial bodies were intimately linked to their daily lives and religious beliefs. As a result, they incorporated astronomical observations and calculations into their architectural designs, creating buildings that were not only functional but also symbolic and spiritual. One example of this is the Mayan pyramids, which were built as religious temples and often served as observatories for studying the movements of the stars and planets. The pyramids were carefully aligned with the movements of celestial bodies, such as the sun and moon, and some even had chambers or structures built into them that allowed priests to observe the stars. The Mayans also built structures called observatories, which were specifically designed for astronomical observations. One example is the Caracol Observatory at Chichen Itza, which is a circular building with narrow windows and small slits that align with specific astronomical events. The Caracol Observatory is believed to have been used to track the movements of Venus and other celestial bodies. In addition to their observatories, the Mayans also incorporated astronomical symbolism into their architectural designs. For example, the facades of many Mayan buildings featured intricate carvings and sculptures of astronomical symbols, such as the sun, moon, and stars. These symbols not only served a decorative purpose, but also had deep spiritual and symbolic meaning for the Mayans. Contribution in mathematics. The Mayan civilization made significant contributions to the field of mathematics, with their numerical system and advanced understanding of mathematical concepts still studied and used today. The Mayans had a complex numerical system, which used a combination of dots and bars to represent numbers. The dots represented units, while the bars represented multiples of 5. This system allowed the Mayans to represent large numbers accurately and efficiently, and they used it for a wide range of purposes, from keeping records of trade to astronomical calculations. The Mayans also had a sophisticated understanding of mathematical concepts, including arithmetic, geometry, and trigonometry. They used these concepts to create accurate calendars, make astronomical predictions, and design their impressive architectural structures. One example of the Mayans' advanced mathematical knowledge is their calendar system, which was based on complex mathematical calculations. They also had a long count calendar, which was used to record historical events and astronomical cycles. The long count calendar was based on a system of counting days, with each day represented by a unique numerical combination. The Mayans also made significant contributions to the field of geometry, with their architectural structures featuring intricate geometric patterns and designs. They had a deep understanding of mathematical principles, such as the relationship between angles and sides in geometric shapes, and they used this knowledge to create buildings that were not only functional, but also aesthetically pleasing. In conclusion, the Mayan civilization was a highly advanced and complex society that believed in the existence of extraterrestrial beings. Their beliefs were rooted in their understanding of astronomy and the universe, and they created elaborate artwork and legends that depict these beings. While it remains a topic of debate among scholars, some researchers suggest that the Mayans may have had actual contact with extraterrestrial beings who shared their knowledge and influenced their society. Thank you for watching the video. We hope you found it enjoyable and valuable.